What's going on, guys? It is the Goof and the Goober podcast. I'm here today with a couple people. Just to introduce, we have Regan Dvorak, as per usual.
What's
my
going
man,
on,
my
guys?
side guy, my guy,
Hey, how's
my
it
co-host.
going?
Regan, how are you doing today, brother?
It's good. It's a good Friday night, getting ready for the old weekend. You know how it is.
Oh, yes.
Just excited. I mean, we're getting two podcasts done this week, which is crazy. Usually don't.
It's cray.
You usually
It's
don't
cray-cray.
have that many going. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And this week, I did something new with my mic. We're gonna try it out, see the technical difficulty things. And I'm going in and out of the camera. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You're going in and out. You just gotta love it. But I am really excited that we got our special guest. It took a lot to get him here. But I'm really glad he's here. I'm really glad he's here in the comfort of his own home, obviously.
It's crazy. So let me tell you a little bit about this guy, okay?
Right,
I'll give you a little synopsis into who we are bringing on today, okay?
Tell me about it.
Now, most people they don't think about couches, okay? But our special guest loves them. He loves finding new couches, trying them out, and even sleeping on them. He once spent an entire day at a furniture store just trying out different couches. He's always looking for new and interesting couches to add to his collection. He's got a ton. Things such as sofas, sectionals, to love seats and ottomans. Every piece of furniture he nurtures, he has an emotional attachment to and cares for. 100%. With dozens of fabric options, we're sure that he would find the perfect piece for your bum. Today, our special guest is Jesse Cineground. Jesse, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Jesse.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing
It's a little excessive on the couches, but
Jesse, what's your guilty pleasure? Like your guilty pleasure song.
That's a good question.
I don't know. I guess I don't really have one. Probably something pitch perfect acapella.
Something
perfect.
Guilty. I hope so.
Regan, what's your guilty pleasure?
TBH.
I know his guilty pleasure.
TBH.
Whoa.
As a UPS driver, you know this. Sometimes I gotta pee in the truck. You don't get a bathroom out there, man. And sometimes I like doing it. It's not like a crazy time, but it's still a good time. You know what I mean? So, yeah. What about yourself? No, wait, Matt, you can't get away from this.
No, I'm saying it's kind of disgusting.
Oh.
I'm not gonna get away from it. I'm just commenting that that's disgusting. A
little bit, but who cares,
You know what my guilty pleasure is? My freaking guilty pleasure is sending reels on Facebook. I love watching videos and hoping that you watch them too. It's the dumbest thing ever because we send so many to each other. And
I got like 5 today.
Exactly. So I assume that Regan maybe watches like 10% of them, maybe. I don't know.
No, I did an experiment with you, Matt, because you would just send me, and I knew you weren't watching any of the things I was sending you. So I did an experiment where I got to adjust this because I feel like no one can hear me. But I did an experiment and resent the posts you were sending me. And you didn't say a word for for weeks.
That was
strategic. You don't even look at the things I said.
That was strategic. You want to know how strategic that was? You want to know why that's strategic?
What's so strategic about that?
So what's so strategic about that? Here's the strategy, okay? I want you to start thinking so far out of the box about me and my thought process at looking at your reels. That you get so far lost that it's just impossible to reel you in, and you're stuck on that one thing for the rest of your friggin' life. So for the rest of your friggin' life, you're gonna think, Matt definitely doesn't watch my reels. Which, in reality, just so you know, Regan, I do. Every single friggin' one of them.
Fine, whatever.
Oh.
I don't care.
Friggin'
Whatever. Live
Yeah.
life. To the friggin'
Live life.
fullest.
Friggin' do that stuff. Just want to say thank you guys for coming in for the podcast today. We got an awesome lineup coming here. We're going to talk about The Last of Us, episode 1, sneak peek. We'll be talking about that at the end. But we have our beautiful, close friend, Jesse Cineground, on this podcast with us. And so today, Regan, we got to put him through the freaking ring dinger.
The old ringer dinger. Dude, that's
I'm
what
gonna put him through the friggin' ringer dinger.
The ringer dinger.
The ringer dinger, something we created. Thank you to the Infinity Bros podcast for at least inspiring this one for us. It's really tough questions, really uncomfortable opportunities to put our friends in very uncomfortable situations. So we're gonna ask him some questions, and we're gonna see how he responds. So we got 5 different questions here, all varying people. Okay. One from me and one from Regan, and a couple outside sources here. So first one, very close friend to the stream and the podcast, Will Bensing out of Geneva, Pennsylvania.
It's a tough one.
Now, he wants to know, Jesse, true or false, have you ever had an emotional attachment to a piece of furniture?
False.
Explain.
How do you define emotional attachment?
How do you define emotional attachment? Because his emotional attachment might be a little bit different than yours.
Relying on something material or as a person for stability. And I would say no.
Deep. Jesse's getting deep. Jesse's getting real deep here.
He's getting real deep.
So
let's say you had one of your friends that, let's say they laid on your couch and they decide, I just want to kick the arm off the couch and snap the couch in half. I mean, how would you feel about that? Not in any particular situations. That might have happened in real life at any point.
Well, if
Hypothetically speaking,
that question in itself requires context. So if you have a friend break a couch, but you make money to where you buying a couch doesn't mean anything to you, then I don't think it's that big of a deal. But if you are, say, a college student who depends on dorms to live in because they don't have a place back home to go during the summer, so they've been moving through the dorms of campus through the seasons, through semesters, wherever they go, and they take their furniture with them because, again, everywhere they've lived, they've had a living room. So they rely on that furniture so they don't have to go buy new ones because they would rather spend money on, college. And a friend comes in and breaks it, then I think you have a right to be concerned. Additionally, when that friend went upstairs and put a hole in the wall on purpose with his fist. So I think you have a right to say, hey, you came in and you broke my couch and now you're putting holes in my walls. Maybe you should reevaluate your decisions.
He's getting deep.
He's getting real deep. So let's just say this couch. Let's say this couch wasn't your first couch. Let's say it was like your family members. Your brothers, for an example. Let's just say it was your brothers. And his friends, the memories.
Thanks for the memories.
Even though they weren't so okay. Yeah, just like you, but sweeter. What if we put
I would say it depends, again, on the context. So if the context was I had a couch, or say it was a rocking chair that my grandparents, who have been married for like 60 years, had, and it was the rocking chair that my grandma used, and say she passed away, a friend came in and they gave it to me because it's a family heirloom or something, sentimental value. and he broke it, then I think it would be a problem. But if it's a couch that's given to you, and by, say, your brother, and your brother says, hey, just try to take care of this because I took care of it when it was given to me, so don't trash it, just take care of it because that's the right thing to do. And then you have a friend come in and just break it and then leave and take no responsibility for the consequences or even picking it up, then I think it could be a problem.
I think you're being bold. We'll jump to the next question. We'll just give you the context. When we were in college, we're all college buddies. I kicked the arm off of his chair and snapped his couch in half. And I bought him a new couch, just so you know. I did buy him a new couch.
Of lower quality.
It was a sectional. Wasn't it a sectional?
It was way better quality. You even said the next day. You know you did.
It was of lower quality, and he tried to take this. He bought a couch, but he tried to give me the non-sectional part. And then I said, Matt, this is a sectional. And then he tried getting in his van and driving away, but I whipped open his trunk and saw the pieces of a sectional. So he was trying to give me the leftovers of a piece of a couch he didn't want.
He was trying to chase me for a sectional. The sectional! Word for word. No, okay. This is out of context.
Yeah, we're getting way on from the couch. We're getting really on the couch topic here, guys.
Yeah, it's funny.
I think
the second question is.
Oh gosh, here we go. Let's go.
Well, you said get on to the.
Yeah, you said next question, Regan.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said next question. Don't talk about it.
I didn't even say a word during that entire time. You guys just went off. You know what? Keep going.
The next question comes from someone really close to you, someone who you might know. Her name's Kaylee, your wife, fiance.
Okay.
Her question is, do you know all the lyrics to "Since You've Been Gone"? If so, prove it.
Ooh. Prove it.
I don't know all the lyrics.
You don't know all the lyrics.
Can you sing the chorus?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're listening.
Here's the thing. We started out friends. It was cool, but it was all pretend. Yeah, since you've been gone. Dedicated, took the time. Wasn't lost until I called you mine. Yeah, since you've been gone. And all I ever hear you say is how I pictured me with you. And all I ever hear you say is, since you've been gone, nah, since you've been gone, I can't breathe for the I can breathe for the first time. I'm so moving on, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He so knows it. He just doesn't want to sing it.
I don't know that.
I got someone in the chat that's saying, is that going to be your first dance song?
Ooh.
No.
Oh.
We actually already have our first dance song picked out. So.
Ooh, any spills? Any beans going to be
Regan,
spilled tonight? Can we get a little bean spills?
Give us a little tea. Give us a little tea here.
Come on.
It's a very intimate song with a lot of meaning.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Woo! It is getting hot. It's getting hot on the Goof and Goober show tonight, boys. Wow. Is it like
first song out there?
I don't know. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary.
I have a question. How come I can't see Regan on this?
I don't know.
You can't?
No.
I only can see your picture, but I can't see your screen.
Oh, it's because it should be on Discord, but I can try to fix it. But
try to fix it as we jump to the next question here. So that's question number 2. We know you guys see all 3, but on our end, we don't see all 3. Question number 3 comes from the man, the myth, the legend himself, Matthew Leathers, aka this guy. If there's a restaurant and there are bald people working in the restaurant in the back cooking your food, do they have to wear a hairnet? If yes,
I would say
why?
yes.
If no, why?
I would say yes, because typically I've never seen a bald person cooking food not sweating a lot. So I would want
hairnet's
something.
going to be able to catch all the sweat.
I would want something covering their sweat from dripping down into the food.
It's a net.
Well,
it's not to catch sweat.
Well, if a hairnet
Not a
doesn't do
swimmer's
that, then I
cap.
wouldn't require it. If a hairnet didn't do that, then I wouldn't require it. But if they could wear a baseball hat and it stopped them from sweating, which baseball hats do stop sweat from dripping, then I would want them to wear something.
Okay.
Something that stops. Think about it. When you sweat and there's no hair to catch it, it's just going to slide right on down.
Okay, so
And if you're
then
cooking around hot food,
what you're gonna say is that no matter like anybody cooking food needs to wear a headband.
yeah.
Because
Technically, by your logic, that is true.
Unless they're like in the NBA and they already wear headbands for a living, then I wouldn't be like, you have to wear a headband to give you a break.
we're talking about making food, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're in the
Why did you
restaurant.
bring up the NBA?
because they wear headbands in the NBA, Regan.
That is a good point. He's making the comparison that they sweat in the NBA and they use sweatbands to carry the sweat, so they could use sweatbands in a restaurant, so that way you can carry the sweat. I get what you're saying, Jesse. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't know where Regan is.
I don't know why you bring
don't-
up
yeah.
NBA. I get that it's a sweatband, but we're talking. It's not what we're
synopsis here,
talking about.
Okay. So So yes or no, hairnets for bald people in the restaurant?
No.
No. Okay. But you're
No.
saying sweatbands or a hat, for sure.
Yes.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you. I think it'd be disgusting if they didn't. Regan?
Because you don't know where they've been.
I really didn't care. I used to work at Dairy Queen, and
gosh.
man, I freaking did not care at all. They always said wear a hairnet. I didn't care. I just went back there and grilled my freaking flamethrower and got away, man. So yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on.
How many jobs has Regan had?
Oh, trust
He's
me,
had a
you
couple.
want to know.
He is adding to his portfolio. Regan.
Never-
Wait till you see my resume.
He's
Regan.
always had money, though.
For the next ring dinger, we have you up. Go ahead, ask your question.
I forgot what I wanted to ask him. Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? I'll ask. Okay. Out of all years that you have played the old F-ball, football, on the collegiate level, who out of all players was your favorite to play with and why?
Well, I would say that. I mean, I could say my brother, but that's kind of like
It's cliche.
doesn't really count, if that makes sense. But
did you wait? Do you actually? Is it like too cliche, or what do you mean?
no, I mean, I feel like the obvious thing would be my brother. But if I couldn't pick my brother, it would probably be, probably be Rudy
Really?
Greer. Yeah.
Wow. Why?
There's just kind of a brotherhood there, so more of a football brotherhood, if anything.
So you spent a lot
So
of
I
time.
felt like
did you spend a lot of time with Rudy?
well, outside of football, I would say no. But if in terms of football and talking football and just making sure we had each other's backs all the time, I would say Rudy, yeah. So there's teammates I enjoyed playing with. Like I enjoyed playing with Corey Heward. I enjoyed playing with Seabass, obviously. I enjoyed playing with Jeremiah Jones, Luke Edlund. I feel like I'm missing someone, but if I had to pick a teammate that I just really enjoyed at the end, it probably would be Rudy.
All right.
In terms of just if there's someone I wanted to go out and play with, it would be Rudy.
Can I do a follow-up question, Matt, or is that too many?
You can follow up question, but keep it short.
Okay. Let's say one of your good friends decided to play at the rival school of Crown College. Who would you then? And it was at a neutral stadium. Which side would you go on? The Crown College or the rival team that your friend is playing on?
Well, I would say in the context of Crown football, and then also
we got to give hold up. We got to give context to what we're talking about. So we all played college football together a couple years ago. We played for 3 years together at a small school up in Minnesota called Crown College. So that's the context of why we're bringing this up. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, I would say that Crown College football isn't one single like identity. You know how it's like, you know when you grow up in your hometown and all you want to be is like a hippo like Matt or a Packer like me, you know, so you're more loyal to the town and the history and the name, you know.
Yeah.
But Crown, it's like more, the longer you're there, you just kind of realize you're playing Crown football for the people, not necessarily for the institution. Right. Not that I'm anti-Crown, but they've just had so much change in leadership there that it's become more about the people than it is the institution at the end of the day why you play for Crown football. But I would say I would be neutral. I wouldn't really care. Like if Crown plays, I'm not too hell bent on if they win, but I care more about the individuals. Right. You know, like the coaches or certain players. So if I had a friend who was playing at Northwestern, I would root for them. But I'd also like be happy if Crown won. But if Crown lost, I wouldn't be devastated because my friend would win. So.
All right. Wow.
Good question, Regan. Good freaking question.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Last question of the ring dinger here. Actually comes from my wife. My wife knows us pretty well, but she wanted to ask you, Jesse, is there anything that you should let go of, but haven't yet? I don't think she's meaning in any particular way, by the way. Like anything in, like, you know what I mean? Like I was asking the question about the couches and emotional attachment.
No, I understand the context.
Lead you towards that? I think she's saying generally.
Yeah, probably. Fear.
Fear.
Sometimes I take a while to make a decision because I overthink the outcomes. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to fail.
Who likes failing? You know what I mean?
No one.
No one. It's true. True.
Regan, what's your biggest fear, Regan?
Aliens. No joke. I'm serious, dude.
Oh,
I'm serious.
You said that so quick.
I thought about. I was traumatized as a child after watching the movie. Oh gosh. Shoot, I forgot what name it was.
War of the Worlds. That got me.
Oh, it was like this. It wasn't ghost shit.
I'm saying World of Worlds got me.
World of Wars.
With Tom Cruise.
Wow.
War of the Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, like biggest like so. Okay, when I was a kid, we had a really old computer with the CD-ROM and everything. The computer was like bombarded by viruses. It was just had a bunch of viruses in this computer, and so much that the computer, for some reason, would randomly shoot out the CD-ROM randomly. Okay, and it wasn't like continuously. It was just at random times. And it was when it did it, it was this. You could hear all the gears grinding together. So it was like this, and then you'd go, like come back out. I was watching this scary movie about these aliens that basically invaded this Russian ship, and they took over and were a bunch of robots, and then they basically killed everybody on the ship. During this movie, I was all alone as a child watching this movie, and all of a sudden I hear this, and I swear, I'm like, they're here. They're about to kill me. I gotta get out of here. This is it. And so I was in the basement actually of my parents' house, and I booked it for my room. I'm like, screw this place. And that is why I'm scared of aliens. So, fun fact. Sorry.
Just your biggest fear is fear?
Biggest fear is, if that makes sense, your biggest fear is fear.
Biggest fear is fear.
Yeah, gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Well, Jesse, you have gone through the ring dinger. I appreciate you being a good sport. I know there's a couple questions that might have scared you a little bit, but we are super happy to have you on the Goof and Goober show. Today, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us, episode 1. Okay? Just a little synopsis as we go into it. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Joel and Ellie, a pair connected through the harshness of the world they live in and are forced to endure brutal circumstances and ruthless killers on a trek across post-pandemic America. The Last of Us takes place 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressed quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes brutal, a heartbreaking journey, and they both must travel and traverse the U.S. and depend on each other to survive. Starring, it was created and based on the video game Last of Us on PlayStation. If you guys haven't played it, it's a great game. Created by Neil Druckmann, and as well televised by Craig Mazin. It stars Pedro Pascal, Baller, Bella Ramsey, Joel. Whoa, my headset just went all blah. Gariel Luna, and then we also have Merle Dandridge. Really, really stellar cast. That's the synopsis of what we're going to be talking about. Jesse, Regan, we're going to do our non-spoilers. Jesse, what's your non-spoiler of this? Rank it out of 5. Give us a non-spoiler. What you like?
I think it's probably going to be one of the most watched TV shows for as long as it's on. Because I think you got HBO, which is good production, generally speaking. They find these shows that are not necessarily extremely different, but they're still somehow original, if that makes sense. They take original ideas but make them watchable. And I just think it's, The Walking Dead is pretty much dead, and people are looking for a new zombie apocalypse show because it's still a very hot genre. So,
yeah. Okay. Regan, give us your rating.
Do you want us to rate it too?
Yeah. Oh, Jesse, what's your 5?
I would say 4 out of 5, but with potential.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first episode, I never played the game, I didn't even know what it's about before going in. And absolutely loved it. Imagery was amazing. There's some scenes there that you get a really good glimpse of the specific imagery that they're bringing. And I completely agree with Jesse that I think it's going to be the most watched. It's also, I think, different from a lot of what HBO is doing, because usually HBO TV shows includes a lot of nudity, a lot of intercourse, and this one really none. And that was very good. That's something I don't really watch HBO shows, like the House of not the House of Dragons, but what do you
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was a huge plus. and you really just fall in love with the characters right off the bat. And I think the casting was great. I think Pedro, our main man from Mandalorian, is just killing it out there with these TV shows. So I think right now I give it. I mean, there's nothing really, I guess, to complain about for me, but like a 4.3 out of 5. It's pretty good. I think it's a great show. Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5 actually. So I played the game back in 2013, I think, or 2014, when it came out originally, on the Xbox when I was in high school, and absolutely loved the game. I haven't played it since then. I beat it, went through it, beat it. I didn't play the remastered version, so it has been a long time. So going back and being able to go into it really fresh, if you will, but still kind of know a little bit about the characters, it was really refreshing. So 5 out of 5 for me. I think Pedro Pascal is going to, I mean, this guy's, I was reading something that none of his TV shows that he's starred in has gotten less than an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is huge, right? Going into it, I thought they might have had different, like someone different that might have been better, just because I was hindered by the Game of Thrones part that he was in, where he basically got killed at the end.
Whoa, spoiler.
Yeah, it's Game of Thrones. If you haven't,
Yeah, but
watched
what if we have a Last of Us fans watching and they're like, "Oh, he's in Game of Thrones. Let me go watch it," and then you just ruin it.
It's all right.
This
Whatever.
is what
Game of Thrones has been out for almost 15 years.
No, Jesse, you're now understanding what I have to go through every episode. Matthew
I
just
really
spoils
don't care.
everything.
Go watch Game of Thrones, guys.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, get out of here. Game of Thrones has nothing to do.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be a Last of Us review, and then you're dropping spoilers from other TV shows.
Yeah.
What if we wanted to do a Game of Thrones review?
Non-spoiler rating review for the show. Yeah.
And you just gave away a spoiler.
Oh gosh.
To a different show that had nothing to do with it. But yeah, he was in that show. I thought it was gonna spoil me by him being in this show, but it was really awesome. So here is your spoiler warning, guys. We're gonna jump into all things Last of Us episode 1. So if you have not watched this episode up until this point, go back, watch it, come back, listen to our overview and our review of it, because we're gonna get into the weeds here and we're gonna talk about this show. So spoiler warning. Merry Christmas. So let's talk some spoilers, guys. Let's talk about the show. So at the beginning of the show, let me fix my headphones real quick, because for some reason it's acting all like it's trying to die on me. So the first part of the show, we jump into the interview of the show where they're talking about the virus, and the guy was kind of playing it off as if the virus could be this made up thing or this hypothetical theory. I was curious, like, kind of what your guys' thoughts were right off the rip of that whole scene. Jesse, what were your thoughts, like, kind of like the beginning?
Well, there's a lot of like imagery, you know. I think there's plot points they're setting up to where it's obvious that Joel doesn't have a healthy relationship with his daughter, if she's stealing from his wallet. Additionally, you know, he in his own way is kind of a loser in the real world, and he will probably be given some type of redemption arc, I would assume, in 2023. He just seems in his own way an average Joe, but then when it's like, when you might be a person in this world, but what happens when that world is completely flipped upside down? You know, it brings into question, what's the correct wording? Are you a individual who identifies with their environment? Or if you're put in another environment, you can be something better. So,
yeah.
But in terms of the virus, I think it's cool. I think it also kind of brings a little bit of Stranger Things aspect into it. I personally have never played the game, so it was all fresh for me. I think it differs itself from your original Zombie Apocalypse because there is a little sci-fi-ness in there, which, you know, you're attracting zombie fans, but you're also attracting sci-fi fans in general. So,
yeah,
I'm interested to see where it goes.
yeah. What'd you think about like the interview stage, Regan? Like how they set it up?
Oh, the
at the beginning they were talking in the interview, and the guy was talking about some virus,
it's not
or how to kill the whole world.
Yeah, basically, it was. I think that whole part was really interesting. It sets up. I mean, that really sets up the whole movie because, just like Jesse, I was going into this show not knowing anything about the TV series, or not the TV, the video game series or whatever. And this really like, oh, so it's like a zombie movie, and that's really what like kind of set up Joel and what that would kind of look like. So for me, I think like that whole part is, you know, crucial for, you know, what they're gonna do. Obviously, I think they're gonna have to come back to the algae. Is what they were talking
about. They set it up as like a fungus virus.
Yeah,
you know,
like it infects the brain. But I think like the cool part though is like where were they? They were getting the battery, trying to get that battery, and there was that a zombie like was plastered on the wall basically with all the fungi, whatever, just spread out across the wall. And for me, that was like, well, that's really cool looking. I mean, disgusting, but pretty cool looking. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. I mean, Matthew, you're the only one out of us that has actually played the video game. My question, because I've seen a lot of reviews online about how it's not really the same. Not a lot, I guess. Yeah. I've seen some reviews, saying that. I was just curious on your outtake on that.
Yeah, so I looked up, so The Last of Us came out in 2013. It's been 10 years since I've fully played the game. But from what I remember, there is some things that like are very similar. So like for an example, when they like at closer to the end of the movie, there was the scene where Pedro Pascal was laying on the couch, and the girl, I forget what she says, something about, what am I supposed to do, or something like that, and he goes, you'll figure it out. I remember distinctly seeing that in the video game. So I'm curious, and that was like one thing that I'm wondering if it's like a side-by-side thing. But again, I mean, it's been about 10 years since I've played the game. But I know that the game was really, really good going through. But I would say that there's probably some similarities. Pedro Pascal looks a little bit different than the video game, but that doesn't really bother me all too much. But overall, I think they're trying to push the same kind of story, but like add new things, obviously.
They can also learn from mistakes that maybe fans thought happened in the video game, you know?
Well, this is what happened with the game. So they created the game in 2013, and then so they did The Last of Us.
Well, didn't they come out with a Last of Us game that nobody liked? It was completely like...
Well, a remastered version. So, no, actually, I think they might have just did the one game on PS3, and then they did the remastered version with better graphics, probably.
Well,
I think this is the one I played.
If there was the video game ever concluded, or was it?
So.
Well, if HBO is smart, they'll stick to the video game content and just add a little flavor here and there. They don't want to make the mistake that Game of Thrones made, and they ran out of content from the books, so then they just relied on two people to just create their own content, and it kind of just went a little bit of downhill from there. If they're smart, they'll make it 5 seasons and just kind of stick to the video game content. You don't want to draw it out, you know. Walking Dead just drew it out way too far. They tried doing another show with Fear the Walking Dead, but I mean, I haven't really heard about The Walking Dead since Negan's appearance, you know.
So, Jesse, how long do you think would be a good amount? Like, how many seasons? And how many episodes?
I think that American TV shows are trying to adopt the model of what Europe does, and they do limited series, but we still want to keep our seasons intact. Because American TV shows used to be like 10 seasons, but I think a good TV show today is like 4 to 5 seasons.
So do you think 4 or 5 seasons with The Last of Us would be? I mean, obviously we're only into one episode.
Yeah.
And
I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah,
it seems like it's a universe where you could do a lot of spin-offs, but I think you have to tell shorter stories. I think the right model would be tell shorter stories, but different stories in the same universe. So they could do spin-offs, but I think on this TV show, I think 4 to 5 seasons would be good. Because the longer you go, the more you kind of the more you rewrite characters, you know, what defines a character. Walking Dead, you always knew that Rick Grimes was going to be Rick Grimes, you know, but they kind of just drew it out. Plus, what happens is I guarantee Pedro is not going to want to stick around for longer than 4 or 5 seasons. You know, he's too good of an actor. He's going to want to go do other shows, you know, because he was like 2 seasons into The Mandalorian, and they were already having problems on set apparently. In terms of he wanted to be on screen more, you know, when your main character is kind of a really hot actor in terms of demand, he's not going to want to stick around for too long when he's in his prime. He's just going to want to do a lot of projects. I mean, look at Henry Cavill with The Witcher. You know, he basically displayed himself as he was going to be The Witcher for as long as he could, and then he only lasted, 2-3 seasons? You know, granted, he took the Superman role, but now he's just screwed over on to other things.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the friggin' Henry Cavill crap.
You can even look at Game of Thrones. Sean Bean was the biggest named actor on that TV show, and he didn't make it to the end of the show. You know, where a lot of people in that show who were lesser known actors made it all the way until the end because they just developed into that show. So
I think what Greg Spence is gonna be doing, like, I think so far, and I'm just gonna pull up kind of. He hasn't really done much of like TV, movies. He has done a lot of like television though. So like he was a producer and co-producer for Game of Thrones. It looks like, and it looks like The Nevers. I think I've heard of that. It looks like it came out in 2021. I think that was something that came out like a short TV show. I think what they're gonna have to do is take and add what they already have for The Last of Us, like the game, but they're gonna have to bring in something new. If they go the route of just copying and pasting what the game has done into TV form, it's gonna turn out to be like The Lion King, for an example, on Disney Plus, which didn't really. It didn't turn out as well as they thought. Well,
look at it. So, not to beat it at horse, but Game of Thrones, the TV series, they took a lot of the sci-fi fantasy out, like a lot of it, and they even rewrote some characters in terms of their true character in the book was different from on the TV show, which I think you have to do that because if you have video game fans that are getting the exact same thing, they're going to be upset. But if you have brand new fans who've never seen the video game, they're going to be generally okay with it, because that's all they know. While video game fans are going to be upset if you don't change up some stuff.
I think no matter what you do, though, you're going to get somebody pissed off in some way or form. Because, you'll see people commenting about this too, or writing, they're like, this is no way the video game was. He's no way, Joel doesn't, or Pedro or whatever, doesn't look exactly like him from the video game. And I was like,
the only problem where I question TV shows from books or even video game adaptations is when they don't stay true to the character. In terms of, I don't really care what the color of the person is to a degree. But because wasn't Joel in the video game considered Caucasian? And Pedro obviously is from South American descent.
I mean, he looks like a dirty white guy. Yeah. Like a guy who's been working in dirt, or I mean, I don't really know.
Yeah.
I'd say he looks like me a little bit.
He's not, you know, it doesn't also
like
it doesn't really get
in the
into...
game he looks dark because he's working in like dirt. Yeah. He's been working as a
I mean, it's easier if I was a diehard video game fan and I knew a character that was a certain way, and the TV show came out, like, you know what they're doing with Scooby-Doo? People are upset. They came out with they made Shaggy a different skin color. I could understand if you were, the Velma show, and apparently they made her attracted to women, which if you were a diehard Scooby-Doo fan and that was what you grew up on, and they just kind of change your character on you, I could understand where someone might be upset, you know? But I don't think it's that big of a deal because I'm not too heavily invested in the backstory of The Last of Us. I just view it as the TV show. But they still should try their best to stay true to at least the character arcs that are there.
Yeah. For anybody going into this show, like, and just so you know, like, these two guys haven't played the video game, so it's not like they have a background on what this show might look like. So they're coming from the perspective, like, this is a new thing to them. And so I think character building, and a lot of people who didn't play the game back in 2014, this is gonna be like the biggest piece going into it, because not everybody's gonna have the time to go back and play The Last of Us remastered to understand the story. So what I think this episode does, and Jesse kind of mentioned it with the girl, they phrased it, or they made it look like as if the girl was stealing the money, stole the watch, but in reality it turned out like, hey, she was going to get the watch fixed for her dad. And that it kind of like, it's building, it really started from the ground up, like it's building the care that Pedro Pascal's character Joel feels for his daughter, and his daughter feels for him, which in a moment we're going to discuss about kind of a turn in the story that really kind of has an impact, in my opinion. So going into the next part kind of the TV show, so she steals the money, she steals his watch, she gets it fixed, brings it back to the house. But before she goes into the house, she is invited to the neighbor's house. I can't remember the name of the lady, but they invite her into the house to speak to and hang out with the old lady at that place. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that, Regan. I want to know what your thoughts are on that whole scene.
Well, like you said, like, I have no idea, and I think like about any of this playing the video game, and so I think this is a crucial part of basically being like getting this story going. So knowing about the character, more about Joel, about who he is and his daughter, and it was so, I mean, as we build more and more getting to know Joel, you see he's not the most put together guy, but somehow he owns a house. I don't know about that. As well as like with his daughter, she seems very put together, making his breakfast, remembers that it's his birthday, getting things put together, basically the mom of the house. She's basically running the house is kind of what you see. But Joel puts a lot of worth into her and everything. And so like for me, that was huge for just the building of the story.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Matthew's got to fix his... Oh, Matthew, your mic's off.
Well, in particular, going into the scene where she's at because this is kind of the turning point of the story where she goes into the neighbor's house, right?
The Alders, I think was their name.
The Alders. They go into the Alders house.
Are you talking about when, you know...
When she goes into the Alders house.
Or no, it's the Adlers.
Adler's
something
house.
like that. I don't know.
Well, this guy...
Like the first time she goes into the Adler's house, you talking about? Or are you talking about when...
this is the first time.
The first time you go into Adler's house, you see this creepy old lady... And she's, I mean, obviously there's something going on where she just can't move or whatever. But the creepy part was when, like, you know, whatever, Joel's daughter, what's her name? I can't remember. But was that?
Sarah.
Yeah, when she's looking away from her, but then you see the old lady, like, twitching and, like, moving around. And then you see the dog. Also, when the dog dies, man.
Yeah, I would say the beginning of the story is pretty much they're setting up a dad that relies heavily on his daughter, and she's the perfect daughter because she's helping the neighbors, she's taking care of him, and you know, obviously later on she
dies,
and
this
then
is
it
the
flashes
spoiler.
forward,
We could talk.
you
We
know.
could.
Yeah, we can talk. And obviously later on she dies. So what happens when the perfect person in your life dies, and how do you process that along with your entire world being flipped upside down? So I do think they're setting up some type of either redemption arc or a gray character for Joel, because obviously he's going to view Ellie as a daughter figure,
right?
You know, and then they're probably going to get into more of her backstory. Yeah. So he's probably going to end up helping her, I would assume, because that's what all the advertisements give out.
Right.
But it's the reason he's helping her is because he's not really, you know, he's helping Ellie, but he's also trying to recreate what he had with his daughter. And, you know, he's going to try, like, I couldn't save Sarah, but I can save Ellie, that type of thing. And he might even struggle with that.
Well, you could, I think you could say that really because kind of at the end when they were retreating and that security guy, whatever, was about to, whatever, shoot, whatever, you kind of see the flashback to him and Sarah, and then he basically, Joel kills or I don't know if he kills him, but, you know, beats him up.
And I think a lot of it is he's going to be motivated by not being able to forgive himself for what happened to Sarah because he feels responsible. So he's processing his relationship with Ellie through that lens of he can't forgive himself.
And I think that's what this whole, I don't know, I think this season is really setting up Joel and Ellie and building that relationship, and then finding out, obviously, as well as that Ellie has a cure to the whole disease. So then maybe next season, though, I don't know. This is kind of my mind in the next few seasons of what's going to happen. So this season is really him and focusing on him and Ellie, and then finding out that Ellie has this cure, but also trying to save Tommy. So Tommy's a huge part in this season.
And I think it's going to like bring into a crossroads of, is he going to put Tommy and his interests, or is he going to have to put Ellie's interests? You know, so it's going to be a conflict of character to a degree. You know, do I save my brother, or do I save this girl who I'm slowly but surely developing an emotional attachment to, because really I'm just trying to save my daughter all over again.
Yeah.
So I think they're setting it up to where you become very emotionally invested in the characters to see what happens in terms of where does the story go, which is typical. You want to be able to be invested emotionally and into characters that, especially like a sci-fi show, you want to be able to be emotionally invested in the characters, because that's especially a sci-fi zombie show, because zombie movies and TV shows, someone always dies, and it's always who's gonna die, who's gonna die, who's gonna die.
Who's gonna get infected?
Yes, who's gonna get infected?
But here's the main question: are you bought in, Jesse? Are you bought into these characters? Are you caring enough for these characters yet?
I would say I want to watch the next one.
Ooh. Oh. Okay.
But also, like, there's times where a TV show is good in the first couple episodes, and then after that, it just kind of fizzes out. they kill someone too prematurely, or all of a sudden they just start throwing, underlying political ideology into themes that just kind of turn you off. For example, Marvel, for the most part, was really, really good, and now it's just become a woke fest of political ideologies and people trying to force, in their own way, again, ideologies on you, where it's like, I just want to watch a superhero that's true to the comic origin,
So, I guess, I'm just kind of saying, like, you're saying that you just want to, you just want to see what kind of happens next.
Yes. And there is a little mystery there, because it's like, how is she, a good thing they did is they intrigued viewers with, if you haven't played the video game, the question is, why is she viewed as the path for salvation? How has she not been infected? How is she not turned, or whatever you want to say? So the question is, there's mystery there, and anytime there's mystery, you're going to want to, that entices me to want to stick around to see what happens. So I think they set it up very well. I will watch it just purely, I'll probably watch it again purely just for, there's not a lot of TV shows right now that are worth watching.
Yeah.
If we gotta watch She-Hulk season 2, I'm gonna,
oh gosh, please no,
cry myself to sleep. So, but on top of that, it is HBO. Even though HBO can come out with some awful, gruesome shows that just are completely poisoning to the brain, they're generally pretty good with adaptations.
I wanted to ask a question about, so what I find crazy about some of these shows is, like, I always try to relate it to, like, how us as humans might act in a situation like that. So, like, if a zombie apocalypse happened, how we might act. And seeing that they created, like, their own little civilization, their own, like, government, if you will, with their own currency, with their own value to certain things. Like, I guess I'm more curious, like, if that happened, do you think that's something that is true to, like, just the US, or is that the world type thing? Because it kind of, like, puts into perspective, like, we try to put value in a lot of, like, weird stuff, when in reality, like, we shouldn't have money, right? Like, there shouldn't be money that we should be trading. We should just be surviving, right? Not. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, like, in the show, their entire civilization, think about it, was based off of fear. So it was created out of fear. So there's obviously a lot of controlling going on. Fear broods injustice. There's injustice in the civilization that they live in. If you look at the United States of America, it was not necessarily fear, but it was birthed out of freedom, which made civilization a lot better. People just wanted to be free. Where here, it's, you could be infected at any moment, kill the infected. The organization obviously takes advantage of people because it all has to do with fear. And if you can't leave the civilization, you're basically risking your life every second you're outside of the civilization, it looks like. So fear breeds corruption, injustice, and that's kind of what I think the show is setting up. So, but then they're probably going to get into ideas of people wanting to build a better world. So that'll be a conflict of, a struggle that goes on, power dynamics.
Well, I think that's them fighting against the government, or the dictatorship, I think is what they call that. We don't really get a whole lot of information about what's going on with like the government, or who's leading it, or whatever. I don't know what you call it, but with
government, it's a group of people.
Yeah,
I would say
the
they're
government.
trying to create a.
I think they're called like Furda or something.
There's the Fireflies, but those are the people that are fighting against.
Yeah, those are the freedom fighters.
Yeah, those are the freedom fighters. But then I don't know what you call it. I don't know. FDR. I forgot. Anyways, but like, I think we're gonna obviously find out more about this government, but they're not gonna be able to take this government down for a while. And in the end, I think Joel's gonna be freedom fighter.
Well, I also think it's going to be a power struggle between the Fireflies and the established government of who gets control of Ellie. Are the Fireflies do the Fireflies try to get control of her to free people, or does the government like the power that they have, so they're going to try to use Ellie to their advantage, but not really give access to the rest of the people?
Well, Ellie was technically just going to be like an average. I don't know. This is what she was saying, is that she saw herself as an orphan, as well as that she was just going to like their school, their training school. So I don't know if they even know. Oh
yeah, but they're setting it up though to where people are going to find out. I think, because I didn't play the video game, that she somehow is not being turned. So I guarantee they're going to get into like it's going to turn into power dynamics, and then Joel's going to have to be the one that protects her.
Do you think it's going to be something like not the Hunger Games, where you're trying to fight against the government, and then all of a sudden it comes back to the people, but then they kind of turn back to the kind of like they do the same thing the government was going to do by kind of doing like that. The Hunger Game thing.
Yeah, I would describe it almost as like, the movie Logan.
With Wolverine?
Yeah, it'll be like that. Joel will represent the Logan dynamic with obviously Weapon X, or X-23, representing what we know as Ellie in this show. And it'll be a conflict of, do I survive or do I protect the innocent? So I think that'll be a conflict of Joel trying to protect her, but you also have the government that's probably going to try to use her as a weapon, but then the Fireflies might be trying to use her as their own way of freedom, in terms of trying to fight the government. So I think it's going to fall into power dynamics. Again, it's only just one episode.
Right. We're making a lot of assumptions here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think overall, I think I'd have to echo everything Jesse's kind of saying. I think they are trying to set that up as that kind of dynamic. I'm just curious how they're going to handle it moving forward, because obviously, like, not only is he trying to, like, the dynamic that he might be protecting the girl, but now he's going after trying to save Tommy, right? So it's like, then it's almost like a four-way battle, if that makes sense. Save himself, protect the girl, save Tommy, or fight whoever needs to fight, right? I think that's going to be, these next coming episodes, it's going to be going to decipher, hey, what direction is he going to take? Like, what battle, what strategy, or which direction he's going to go. And I think he's going to end up protecting her, but there's, like, what are you going to do with it? Like, what if you're going to protect her? Are you going to protect her while you're going to save Tommy? And if you're going to go save Tommy, is the government going to come after you while you're saving Tommy?
Will he have resentment towards Tommy? Will Tommy become a liability? Will Tommy turn on him?
Yeah. What's your? I mean, is that your bold prediction about this? This whole series, like this whole, I guess, first season.
Talking to me?
Well, to both of you, I guess, because you guys are kind of making these predictions of what's going to happen. I
think I'm just.
What's your bold prediction for this upcoming next episode here?
I'll be brief because I've played the game, but again,
Oh yeah.
Nothing that, like, I don't really remember all that much of it. Again, it was 10 years ago, and I played it one time, one way through. That was it. I personally think that. I think obviously we're setting. My bold prediction is they're already setting up that he's going to be a protector for her. I think that's going to happen no matter what. Now, his direction on where he goes, I don't know. I think he could go one of two ways. He takes them to the other part of the government, or wherever they were supposed to go with the Fireflies, or take her and go to Tommy, and then something's going to happen as he goes to Tommy's. But I don't really know. Like, based off of what we have right now, I know for a fact he's gonna protect her, and his direction is either go one way or the other. One side's gonna be bad, one side's gonna be bad. It just depends on
Well, they also could adapt the gray. Not every character is good or bad. Some people are just gray characters.
Yep.
So they might adopt that with the Fireflies. Like, these people might look like freedom fighters, but they also have a gray side. And same with the U.S. whatever. Same with the government. So, but that's just typical TV. There can be no good or bad anymore. There has to be, just look at Superman. Superman's number one rule was he didn't kill people, and Zack Snyder's Superman killed Zod, snapped his neck. But that's Hollywood in a nutshell right now.
Yeah.
So,
I've got a weird theory, and again, I'm gonna throw this out there for like the 5th time. I played this game 10 years ago. I don't remember much of this game. 10 freaking years ago. I have a theory, and this is just me, like, because characters are obviously big, but what is your thoughts on the African American woman with the puffy hair getting stabbed or shot in the side? Not his daughter, but the other girl.
The one
for some reason, I just have a feeling that that's his. Yes, correct.
What about her? You have a
I have a theory that could be his daughter.
No.
And that she was saved when he left. Yes, I have a theory. That they left her because they thought she was gonna die. That's my theory. Again, I'm going way out there. But they introduce her and they keep out information when she's talking. She's trying to not tell what's-his-name very much information and kind of giving them facial hints, cues as they're speaking. They also show imagery. She got shot on the same side as she got shot earlier in the show. So if you go back and watch, when she got shot from the police, she got shot on the left side. When you go back to go pick up Ellie, she's holding her left side. It's just an out there theory.
That's a bold prediction right there. That's a huge.
That's a bold prediction. It is a bold prediction. It is. But go back and watch it and tell me that it doesn't at least make some sort of sense.
I'll go look at it again.
You're gonna have
to look at it again. Tell me, because and you can pull it up really quick if you want.
I think if they were to do that, I mean, his daughter's skin tone is a lot more lighter. I don't think it really.
But it's 20 years in the. It's 20 years in the future.
Yeah, but I feel like the emotional attachment that he has, he would know.
Yeah, I would feel like
because he's probably had severe nightmares.
I mean, it's a bold prediction. You can say whatever you want in a bold prediction, And you know what? It's a movie. You could make whatever, do whatever, So, yeah,
it's not a prediction. It's a theory.
I mean,
it's completely different.
I guess so, but I think. I think
because here's what I'd be willing to bet. She was saved after he left her. He left her. She was saved. Oh, here we go. How do I show this? Can I show this to you? No? Okay, fine.
You might be able to share your screen, but you'd have to stop. I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
We'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out. But go back and watch it. I'm just throwing out a random theory. I think it could be. There's probable cause for it. She got shot on the left-hand side. He just left her because he was rushing. Getting shot in the side doesn't mean that you die instantly. I think that there could have been somebody that went and picked her up, let her heal, then you bring her back. Literally.
What is this? The Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show where everyone gets stabbed in the stomach but lives?
It's like Avatar 2.
Woo!
It's fine.
Yeah!
Yeah! Avatar 2!
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Woo!
I guess my final question for I don't really have a whole lot of any more questions. But what are you guys looking forward to in this whole series right now? What are you looking mostly forward to? Matthew, go.
I'm really excited to get to learn more about Joel, and the decisions that he makes moving forward, because I said earlier, I think that every decision that he makes moving forward could literally be life or death. There are people being killed in that city in the community that he's in because they stepped out of the place. They stepped out for 2 seconds or whatever. They left without. I think they were getting hung because they left without any warrants or anything like that. This is a show where literally anything that he does could be life or death. So I'm excited to see like how he navigates that, not only just by himself, but the girl that he's with. Not Ellie, but the other girl as well. I think she's gonna play a pivotal role, and I think she's gonna screw some stuff up personally.
Right.
That's just my opinion. I think she's gonna screw some stuff up, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. So, yeah.
Did they ever state? So Ellie is an orphan, right?
That's what they said.
Yeah.
In the show.
I'm curious who her parents are.
Ooh.
Because obviously, I mean, just all you got to do is look at Star Wars. Anytime an orphan is mentioned, it's a curiosity that needs to be explored, or even, yeah. So I'm curious to see who her parents are.
They're twins.
What?
So twins don't kiss.
I'm just because I feel like that could be a plot point that they might explore. Who are her parents? She probably comes from someone with power,
Yeah.
and I could see a plot of where they had a daughter and they were separated, or someone, they could even get into Stranger Things avenue where pretty much someone was an orphan, but they created a super weapon, that type of stuff. Someone might have just found her, or gave birth to her, and then they tried to develop a cure using her as a specimen. So
I like it.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good, bold prediction. I think for me, the thing I'm looking mostly forward to in this show is finding just what happened between when basically Joel, when his daughter died, to the present time, and what happened to get him there, and what made it like so many people so scared of him and in that town that they don't want to mess around with him. I think looking at his history and seeing, that meeting new characters basically from his past to kind of more piece together who Joel is and where he's come from is.
I would not be surprised if they do that. A lot of flashbacks in this series and kind of steal from if you've ever seen the TV show Lost. They do a ton of flashbacks of people's life outside of the island, and I would not be surprised if they do that, because TV shows will do that sometimes just to fill time gaps.
Oh yeah.
So like you have your main storyline, but you ever notice in a movie where it's like you have your main storyline, but then you have a side storyline that still connects to the main storyline, but they do that to give gaps instead of just following someone straight on. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have our main storyline, but then they do a lot of flashbacks to fill gaps in the time frame of a.
You gotta do that.
You
have to do that as a producer or a director or a writer, whatever, because you're building this story. You're making people more connected to the character. I think it fills gaps, but it also
develops mystery, which people like mystery.
Right.
So they're giving you mystery. They're also giving us sci-fi. They're also giving us action.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is that they have to do that because this was a video game adaptation, and so for some they think I feel like if you've played the game and you've played it recently and you've played it consistently, is that like you don't want all the extra fluff, if that makes sense. But they're gonna have to do it because they're now reaching a different audience, if that makes sense. So I definitely think you're
that's true. They are reaching a different audience, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I also am really excited to see Nick Offerman, the guy from Parks and Rec. The what's his name?
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson, yeah. I haven't really seen him in too many serious roles, and I'm curious to see what he'll be like in this. I like the actor, and so
I think he'll be good. I'm excited.
Hopefully, I mean, cross my fingers. You never know. Really.
Yeah.
High hopes for this show. High hopes for this show. Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on to the Goof and Goober pod, the show. It was a pleasure having you. I'm glad that
Thanks
you
for having me.
Check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Goof and Goober show. You can also check us out on Instagram, the Goof and Goober show _ after each word. And then you can check us out on Twitch at Goof and Goober. That's it for us today, folks. We will be back for episode 2 here in the next week or so, talking about some other things. We might have maybe another special guest pop up, or it may just be Regan and I. It's up to you guys. It's really up to you guys. So we're really excited for everything that we're doing now and what we're doing moving forward. So go ahead and like it, follow, share it. If you've gotten to this point, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Down below, comment, who do you think's the bigger goof? Who's the bigger goober? Or who's the goober? Who's the goof? You decide. I feel.
Choice.
We can't choose for you.
Yeah.
But till next time, peace.